Consistency is a habit. It's a habit.
Mm.
Yes. Um, yeah. There are some things people feel you can just pick up um, very easily,
Mm-hmm.
but habits, as they come, good or bad,
Mm-hmm.
they take time to build, to form. So I like to start by saying consistency is a habit, is one of the habits of any successful person. So when you check out the biographies and autobiographies of people who have done great things with their lives, one of the key ingredients you would find is consistency. It's a habit that ensures that you stick to what it is you're doing. Um, it's it's not just a habit of longevity, because that is what it looks like to me naturally, but
Okay.
but it's also that of quality and um, homogeneous firmness. So the quality that when you pick up a certain person and you turn them to the left and you turn them to the right, you will see that habit of consistency and thoroughness, true and true. So their yes is their yes. Whether they're present or not, their values are consistent. So even when they've left the room, people can vouch or can say, if this person was here, this is what he will say.
Okay.
Yes, and
Okay.
yeah. So, for instance, I ran into some issues in the early days of my work here in Warri after I had relocated from Lagos. And on that day, it was a very terrible incident. I couldn't muster up the bill to pay for the hall I was using for my trainings on Sunday afternoons. And so I went to speak to the management of the hotel where I was, and they just wouldn't agree. In fact, they later agreed, but it became an issue where they came into the venue where we were to disturb the meeting that was ongoing.
Okay.
And sent us out. It was pretty embarrassing in a way and painful too. But I remember that day I walked out of that place with my wife, jumped into a car, and we just drove around town. And then I asked something, and we both asked, though I was the one raising the question. I said, if Sam Adeyemi, that's our mentor, if he was here, what will he do? I said, can you imagine a David Oyedepo in a situation like this? What exactly do you think he would do? And those two people are, like, Sam Adeyemi is my immediate spiritual father, and of course I call the other my grandfather.
Okay.
Just like knowing your heritage. But I realized that asking that question, once we did ask that question, it's as if the spirit just walked into the car and we began to think like them. And honestly speaking, years later, when I was sitting with my mentor Sam Adeyemi in his office, and I told him this exact thing, he asked me, so what did you do? I said, immediately we asked the question, this is exactly what we decided to do. He said, exactly what I would have done. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He said, because now I could just think, what exactly would this kind of guy do? He's been here before.
Yeah.
So what will he have done in this situation? That's what it takes to be consistent, because at the end of the day, it's not just about the duration, it's also about the quality of your thoughts, the quality of your character, quality of your firmness, and so that's plays in the issue of consistency.
Okay, so as to what consistency means, and what you have said is, some people think about it from a perspective of longevity,
Okay.
which is, like you mentioned, correct.
Yeah.
But there is also quality attached.
Yes.
There should be
Yes.
quality attached to this longevity.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm speaking about factors that can actually hinder, one from being consistent. So, where you have set out your mind to do something, and you've done it, and all of a sudden, you change your mind, and then probably you go back to doing it, or you go back to doing something else. What are the things that can actually cause that?
Okay, a few things I'd like to probably bring up, obvious and some of them not obvious. But I'll start with one. It has to do with a lack of clarity of purpose, of goal, of objective. When I say lack of clarity, I mean that you are so sure about what you should be doing with your life. Once there is no certainty and you're just living your life based on trial by error. Let me try this, let me try that.
Over it.
Once a challenge comes up on that journey, you would turn to something else. That's because you are not certain. So clarity brings certainty, and certainty will keep you focused.
You just know that this
is something you should do. Yes. And I am a living proof of what it means to stay with what you are doing. In fact, they will say it's in some motivational parlance, we call it stick to itiveness. Your ability to stay with what it is you are born to do, or at least you have resolved to do. Even if you're not sure if that's what your purpose is, but you've resolved in your heart that come rain, come sun, I will be here. There is no turning back. I am not dilly-dallying about this. I am focused on this journey. Once that is in place, then it is difficult to easily get discouraged, which brings me to the next thing. So a lack of focus is number one. It will lead to discouragement easily.
Yeah.
Discouragement is quick enough to break a man from his consistent, disposition about his journey, his dreams, his goals. And there are a lot of things that discourage you. And I just want to say this. I know this is not part of this discussion. Living in a place like Nigeria, I am excited to be a Nigerian. I am grateful to God.
Yeah.
But
sometimes.
No, not sometimes. Every day. I am sure every day that it takes more than just determination to live in this country. It takes more than that. In fact, when I drive on the road, I am mad at the quality of poor governance I see. And I'm wondering, is this, So it's, there are a lot of things that can discourage you right in a country like Nigeria. So you don't even need somebody to tell you, bros, this is your dream. The happenings around will tell you, look, you should
what
be.
What gives you the right?
Exactly, what gives you the right to dream? So, so discouragement is all around, and that can lead to lack of consistency. Yeah. Of course, being in the wrong circle of social circles can bring a lack of consistency, can also lead you to discouragement. So if you're in the midst of people or family members who will just look down on your dreams and say, what are you doing? Are you sure you shouldn't be doing something else with your life? Yeah, once you are in that kind of environment, it will naturally discourage you. I also want to mention that a lot of us also get to the point where we have found out what we love and have decided to go with it. But when we hit certain very strong points, something we call failure, when we failed at something, sometimes once, sometimes twice, we just throw in the towel. So failure is fatal for many. Failure leads to a lack of consistency for many. I'll say this, and this is very interesting. I have, prepared all week as a young clergy, raising a lot of young people. Prepared all week a certain very solid, trusting God to bless lives. Gone a previous day to the venue, prepared the place, prayed, invited people, shared flyers, and then the next day showed up and there were 2 people in service. Yes, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, and I will come in there and preach to the people like I was preaching to 1,000. And I remember one day I just said, look at these people in our estate, they're laughing at us. And my wife thought I was joking, and then she looked at the people one day and said, it's true, they're laughing. And I said, we need to continue doing what we're doing. They didn't call us. But let me fast forward to a certain incident and just stop with that, the story. So one day we were having an event in that very location, and everywhere was jam-packed. There was no place. And she called me when I stepped out. She said, is this what you saw the day we came here? I said, yes, something like that. Because I remember saying the exact words were, we're going to have an event here and people will be standing because there'll be no place to park. And she said, is this what you saw? I said, yes, something like that. I can't go into details, but I have seen how consistency has really paid. It has paid a lot. But you would have gotten to many points where you felt like a failure because you looked at the number of people around, the number of people thinking, oh, you are not doing well because of the number of cars parked in front of your facility and things like that. I've seen people do songs and nobody ever paid them to listen or call them for an event. I've seen people who produce books and the books are right there in their living room, stacked up, thousands of copies, nobody demanded for. You know, I've seen people pay for office space and shop and design it, and all of a sudden they're running into deficits after so much confidence that they were going to hit the sky and just become, you know, a great company. And people just get discouraged. So failure can lead to lack of consistency. It can make you really bury your dream.
Yeah.
Yes, it can.
Like question yourself.
It can. But if you don't mind, please, I wrote 2 books down I want to recommend, and I have a feeling someone out there listening might want to go pick up this book. It's one of the best books that has helped me in my life. It's called Failing Forward by John Maxwell. That's the title. Please, if you're listening, write it down. Please look for this book. It's going to help you today, 10 years, 20 years. You're going to be grateful you read this book. It's titled Failing Forward. That's one. And I would recommend the last one before I leave. Please do remind me. There's one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, one of the reasons why this conversation actually started was I was coming from a place of creatives.
Oh, okay.
Where maybe you're an artist, you have to paint, you have to write, and you have to sing and stuff like that. And so I was thinking, because a lot of creatives, I mean all creatives, depend on inspiration. They depend. There are days where you wake up and you feel it. You just know it's like you're on full gear and you just can't stop yourself.
Yeah.
You just, whatever you do just works. And there are days where it doesn't just work. And so the question is, what happens when you don't have the option of days where it doesn't just work and you still have to show up?
Thanks, Dudu. I am so grateful for this question. Actually, I need to say this. I think I should start answering this by quoting an amazing genius that lived on the surface of the earth, Thomas Edison. He says, a genius is one who 98% of the time will perspire. He would run his life based on 98% perspiration, that's hard work, and 2% inspiration. So, and then I have this quote I have, largely at my face every day. It says, hard work will trump talent any day. Any day. So I just want to say this, and I have a very strong feeling, because this is a generation that is very expressive. We have at our disposal the social media that can put us on the surface of the map just like that. Anything that you put out, so we have no excuse. So this is my while you are struggling to announce yourself, the truth is that if you're good, you'll be announced. So don't struggle to announce yourself. Let your work announce you, and it is the work that you do when there is no inspiration that matters. So this is it. Consistency is a choice. We said that earlier. It's a habit. Is an attitude. It is a choice. I like that to stay. It is a choice. Consistency doesn't jump at you. You make consistency happen for yourself. It's a choice that, look, come rain, come sun, moon, morning, night, people are sleeping, people are going to work, I will be consistent. Dudu, I can say this without a shadow of doubt. What I'm doing in this room right now with you, I have consistently done for 2 decades. I was paid my first 50,000 naira check as a student in 2003. 50,000.
Okay.
And it was a church that came to move me from my hostel to Onitsha to go and speak to entrepreneurs who have been doing business. They went to bring one small boy, come and talk about made in Nigeria, because I was passionate. But before I was paid that money that day, I had been doing that consistently since my secondary school days. It's just that now I decided to put structure. So I have been consistently doing what I'm doing. Someone saw me on Facebook about 3 years ago and said, I am not surprised at the kind of things I'm seeing happen with you. I remember the things you said to us when we were in school. So what I'm saying is that success is predictable. It is a choice. It is a choice. And that you fail at something, you already have told yourself, even if I fail, I will still be doing it. So it's a choice. So the days I don't feel inspired, Because some people get inspiration from different things. Some people have to go do weed. Some people do all kinds of crazy things just to get inspiration.
Yeah, it's like a struggle.
Yes. This is the thing. Look, that little bit of inspiration that was there the previous day or the previous week that produced a certain phrase or sentence, sit with it. Just keep working at it. If you're going to have to sit down in the studio, keep working on a beat until something happens. But to be waiting for inspiration over time, the greatest musicians, especially the ones in our country, for instance, you call a person like Tubaba. If you go and listen to him very well, you get to sit down with him, you realize that this thing is not about just inspiration. It's hard work. It's hard work. It's hard work. The same thing with the Cristiano Ronaldo. It's hard work. I mean, did you study or just read about Michael Jordan and see how many shots he had to miss before he could even, he was told he would never be a basketballer, but he had to work really hard. All right? Are you going to talk about LeBron James or Steph Curry? I play the game till now, and I know exactly what it is to play the game at this level. I mean, when I say at this level, at this age, I know what it is. I know how fit you have to be. It has nothing to do with inspiration. If I like, I dream about the free shots and dream about the 3-pointers. If I don't work at them, I would miss all of them on the court. So I can say this authoritatively: hard work will trump inspiration any day. Show me a person who is hardworking on their dreams. I'll tell you, look, this is your inspiration. It has nothing to do with what this guy is achieving. Okay. So please, any lazy man out there who is waiting for inspiration, tell them that they need to keep working. Yes.
Okay, so we are actually out of time. We just have like, say, 2 minutes or thereabout.
All right.
And so we're just going to skip to the very last one. How do you keep yourself in that space? In the space where you always show up, because that's how I see consistency. The space where you show up regardless.
It's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice. All right. I believe we don't have any time, so let me not. I'll do 2 things. I'll share a quick story, and then I would recommend that last book I said. I once got to Lagos, and I wanted a job with one of my mentors who looked like where I was going to, near this one to be precise. So I went to him and said, "Sir, please, I want to work for you for free." He said, "No problem, come and work." All right, and then I began working with him. Some days I would ride my bicycle, I wear my headgear and ride from Omole straight to Oregon. At some other time, I would walk. Walk. Anybody who understands Lagos will know what I'm talking about. I will walk to the office. Now, I was recruiting for an organization, and I walked to Tony Street at Kunle Shoyin's office. Get there before Nia Adesanya comes. Set up the room. When we close, I will allow him drive away so that he doesn't see that I'm walking away, and then walk through the industrial estate, Ogba Industrial Estate behind, and walk back to my house. The man didn't know. I decided not to ask him for transfer fare. Anybody who knows where K2 is, imagine walking from Omole Phase 1 to K2, where 4 Square is in K2. I did that twice just to be able to be at an event where my boss was speaking. And when he leaves, I will now walk back home. Just show up regardless. Just show up regardless, because, at the end of the day, you are learning what you need to learn. So I'm going to end with the recommendation. Please pick up the book. It's called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It's going to help you. Outliers, that's the title, by Malcolm Gladwell.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely sometimes not our friend, but